Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it gorgeous? Doesn't it look amazing? The human body, when it's in peak physical condition, doesn't it look great? Now, it comes in all different shapes and sizes, and what you think is beautiful and what I think is beautiful and what other people think is beautiful could all be different. But at some stage in our life, I'm sure we have appreciated a beautiful human form. Is it possible that if we go back to the basic reason why humans exist is to create new humans, that we have a driving force to look at the human form and to reproduce that with another person? Now, that is a driving force for most of us. And if you listen to the neuroscientists, they'll suggest that for men in particular, the visual of looking at a beautiful form, male or female, is something that's a driving force for them. Why is that important if you are an exercise professional, if you are a professional person? It seems that we are bombarded every day now with pictures of the physical human form in all different shapes and sizes and for all different reasons. But I'm sure you've heard that sex sells. And it seems that we are totally bombarded every day with people that are selling us something, and connected to that is a beautiful body. The challenge, of course, with that is that if I think in pictures, and we all do, you do, I do, everybody else does, our brain thinks in visual. So if I say, for example, something random like red truck, you don't see REDTRUCK, you will see a picture of a red truck. Now, you'll see a different one to me, but we will see a red truck because we think in pictures. That means we have a driving force towards the visual. Now, some people learn kinesthetically to touch, some people learn by listening, some people learn by smelling, yes, but predominantly we're driven by looking. And if we see something that is unique, different, or sexy, and I love that word, sexy, it seems to take over. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is every single day, professional people send me stuff to experience, to look at, to read, based on the message they're sending out to the world. Their marketing plan for their business, their product, their service, their exercise plan, their eating plan. And every day I have to look at, because that's what I do, I help people have successful businesses, successful product and service sales. I have to look at the human form in different shapes and sizes. And fortunately or unfortunately, depending on which way you look at it, my brain too is driven towards the visual. So often the message of what every person is trying to share with me, what you might be trying to share with me, what you might be trying to share with the world, gets a bit mixed up with what people see versus what you might be saying, what you might have written. So if I have and I'll just use a simple example because this is something that came up today. If I have somebody dressed, for example, in activewear, male or female, so I can see their front bum and their back bum, and it might be that it's covered in activewear that's pink or grey or white or black, it doesn't matter. But the actual shape of our front bum and our back bum can be seen. It's very difficult for the human brain now to hear what's being said because the visual takes over. And I'm asking you to think about this very carefully if you're trying to share a message with the world. Because what we wear, what we look like, screams so loudly that people often can't hear what we say. Could that be something to consider? So if a man is wearing black tights and no undies, and he's standing here talking to you about how to get fit, how to get strong, how to invest your money, what kind of travel holiday you should go on, doesn't matter what anybody's talking about. If you can see their front bum or their back bum, even if it's covered in clothing, but it's covered in something that shows the shape of both of those, is it possible that you are finding it more difficult to listen to what the person's saying? Why is that important? First of all, sex sells, yes. But if you want to sell sex, that's very different to selling a book or a personal message or personal development or a financial plan or a parenting plan or an education. If I had two people behind me naked and I'm talking to you about being a professional person, I think, or is it possible that you would find it difficult to listen to what I had to say because you were focusing on the two naked people behind me? Now, you might not find them attractive. It might not be that that's the human form that you're attracted to. That might not be the gender that you're attracted to. But because the human brain is focused on reproduction, is focused on visual and reproduction, how could you listen to what I've got to say if there's two naked people behind me? And I'm asking this very personally because I am involved in a profession and have been all of my life, which is designed to get the human body into peak physical condition. So usually the message about being fit and being strong comes with a beautiful body. But so much of the social media that I am bombarded with every day, and you are too, the person might be delivering a great message, but is it possible that that message is being disrupted by what the person is wearing or not wearing? And I share this with you with hesitation because it's very uncomfortable and it's very personal. But if you have any part of your body on show, is it possible that people won't be listening to what you're saying? They'll be watching your boobies or your bum cheeks or your ripped abdominals or any part of your body. And I've had to learn this the hard way. This is why it's not difficult for me to share this, one, because I'm an old lady, and two, because I've had to learn the hard way. But I get that this is quite confrontational because most videos that we see now on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or any of the social media platforms about exercise, about being healthy, about being fit, about being strong, has naked bodies involved. There's always a body. And it might be covered in lycra, it might be covered in some light clothing, but most of the body is showing. And if you are doing this because you want to sell your body and to get views on social media, that is exactly what you should be doing. Because if you have any part of your body showing, you're more likely to get more views. There's no doubt about that. But the question I've got to ask is this: what is the message that you're sharing? Because a lot of people give me their marketing material and it's to promote a really great book about personal development, or it's to promote an educational program, or it's to promote a healthy eating plan, or it's to promote about being a great parent. And a lot of those come with half naked bodies. And if a body is half naked and I'm delivering a message, is it possible that people will focus on the half naked body and not on the message that I'm delivering? It's just something to consider. So from a marketing point of view, if you want to sell your body, and social media is a big marketing tool now, and if your goal is to get as many likes as possible, as many clicks as possible, as many people watching you as possible, then the more naked you are, the better, of course. And I'm going to give you a really fun story about that. I'm a very old lady and this is a very old story, but it's kind of cool. There used to be a television show in Australia in the mornings, and it was an exercise show, and there was either 3 or 5 people, depending on the day, in very little clothing, tiny little short shorts and crop tops and ripped abdominals and beautiful boobies and beautiful arms and legs, and some really good camera angles where the angle would focus on all the different rude bits. And it was one of the highest rating shows on morning television. Everybody, we thought as exercise professionals, and we got all excited that people were watching this exercise show and they might be exercising. It was literally watch us do exercise and perhaps join in with us. The challenge, of course, was that when they checked the ratings to that show, which was very high, the age group that were watching that show were predominantly 18 to 25-year-old males. While they ate their breakfast, they had these gorgeous bodies to look at. Great breakfast material, but certainly not, it wasn't what we thought was inspiring people to exercise, was just giving people a great visual. So what I'm asking you to consider, and there's 2 things. One is, if you are a professional person, how do you present yourself? Because I had to learn the hard way that if I've got my boobies out, if I've got my butt cheeks out, if I've got any part of my reproductive material showing, that people won't be listening to what I've got to say. And I had a gentleman in my life who was very prominent in the exercise profession. And he pulled me aside one day. I had a very beautiful suit on. There's no doubt about that. It was an expensive tailored suit, but it was very low cut and my boobies were out. And I was about to present at one of the most prestigious conferences in Australia, and I was presenting on fitness business. And he pulled me aside, and it was confronting, very confronting. But he shared with me, Rowie, if you stand there with your boobies out, nobody's going to listen to what you say. They're going to be looking at your boobies, men and women. They might not want to, but the human body's going to be, that's where it's going to be focused. So if you want people to take you seriously as a businesswoman, best you go get dressed. And what a tough thing for him to do, like to pull me aside and share that with me. That would have been very awkward and uncomfortable. If I had justified or got angry or whatever, I'm just very privileged that he gave me that information. And I don't know why I took it on board, I just did. Because I remember thinking very carefully, is what he's sharing with me the truth? I looked in the mirror and said, yes, how could people take me seriously when I've got my boobies out? And from that day forward, I put everything away. And unless I'm in the garden or I'm exercising in my own home, I'm neck to knee, neck to toe. Usually I've covered up to here and I'm covered and my body's not showing. And I'm sharing that with you because I have such an important message to share. When you are committed to helping people to be healthy, fit and strong, having a career or business they love, being financially free and having great relationships with themselves and with other people, I don't want that message to be watered down by my bits and pieces showing. So I'm very aware of not having my bits and pieces out, but I had to learn that the hard way. And as I often share, I missed out on lots of opportunities. In hindsight, I now know why I missed out on those opportunities. And I also asked people, why did I miss out on those opportunities? And they shared with me, because Rowie, you were dressed unprofessionally. Now, sometimes it was just because I had too many earrings or I wasn't wearing stockings or my skirt was too short. Not that my ass cheeks were hanging out, my skirt was just too short. But in hindsight now, a lot of people have shared with me, Rowie, you were constantly running around with your ass cheeks out, with your boobies out, cleavage showing. You just didn't look like a professional person. Why would we put you in front of a medical conference where there's doctors and orthopedic surgeons and psychologists and neuroscientists, serious people about the human body, and you're dressed like, and I'll quote, like a stripper? And that came from one of the head cardiologists from a hospital in Brisbane. And he shared with me to my face, Rowie, I love the exercise industry. He didn't call it a profession. I love the exercise industry because you people dress like strippers. Now, I'm very privileged. That day I wasn't. I was dressed in a suit and I had learnt my lesson by then. But when I look at my profession now, and I wish it was taken seriously, and a lot of the things that I see on social media, even if the message is good, and even if the exercise is safe, and even if it could work, whatever's being, the information that's being delivered, is it possible that that message gets watered down because the person delivering it has their bits and pieces on show? Very uncomfortable conversation, I get that. Very awkward to ask the question, do you dress professionally? If you have, and I'm going to ask this again, if you have, I'll rephrase this in a different way. If you're watching something, regardless of what it's about, and I'll use a classic example. If you're watching, say, a minister of a church preaching, and he was wearing lycra tights and he had no undies on, would you be listening to the message of how to love God? That's it. That's a really interesting example. Or would you be looking at, as we do when we watch Olympic athletes or the male and female athletes that wear tiny little clothes, is it possible that we're not focusing on what they're doing, we're focusing on what they're wearing? And I don't ever want my message to be watered down by what I'm wearing. How about you? So that's why that's such a personal and confrontational question. If you have a great message, would it be really important to make sure that nothing about what we're wearing waters down that message? Professional dressing, there's all different ways to look at that. And some people share with me, if I'm an exercise professional, then I should dress like I'm in the exercise profession. If anything's on show, then people will be looking at that, not at the message that you've got to share. And the really interesting example of that, people share with me, oh, well, if I'm exercising, I have to wear clothes that allow me to exercise. And there's two parts to that. I have a husband who's a martial artist, and they wear what I call pajamas. The dough box that martial artists wear are certainly not designed well for exercise, particularly for judo, for example, because they're really heavy. They're long sleeves, long legs, heavy material, and yet they do some of the most acrobatic moves in these big, heavy outfits. If you look at professional golfers, they wear long trousers, professional shoes, polo shirts, because it's a professional sport. And when I talk about professional sport, I'm talking about the highly paid professionals. They earn a lot of money, but they can still do their sport dressed professionally. So just some things to consider. I often, since I've decided to dress beautifully, I often get accused of being too pedantic about professional dressing. Oh, Rowie in her bloody suits, or Rowie, she's always talking about the way we dress. But I will share and ask the question, do we get more than one chance to make a first impression? And if our first impression is, oh, there's the lady with the lovely bottom, or there's the lady with the lovely boobies, or there's the guy with the front bit that you can see through his tights, is it possible that that would detract from the message that we've got to share? Now, if your message is I want to sell my body and I want to get lots of likes on social media, that's awesome, and that will definitely do that. At the Max International Colleges, we are also a business college. We have an international business diploma, and I have people that make a lot of money from social media because they take their clothes off, because they have all their bits and pieces showing. That's how they make their money. But it's a different message. They're not pretending to send out a serious message. They're sending out, look at my beautiful body. Please look at my beautiful body, because then I'll get more likes and then I'll make more money. And that's a decision that we all get to make. What's the message that we're delivering? And does the clothing that we wear, the way we present ourselves, does that match the message that we're delivering? And my last question is, who are you? What do you stand for? What would you die for? And do you dress that way? And I was taught that a very long time ago. I picked 5 words to describe the person that I wanted to be and the reputation I wanted to have, which was tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined and professional. So when I get dressed, I always ask the question, is this what a tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined and professional person would wear? And if not, I don't wear it. And then the last question when it comes to presentation is, whatever you do for a living, for your passion, the way you make money, when people see you for the first time, would they look at you and say, that person is the very best at what they do? If they're a doctor, they must be the very best doctor. If they are a lawyer, they must be the very best lawyer. If they are an exercise professional, they must be the very best exercise professional, because look at the way they dress. Because that's the only way we make a first impression. People can only make an impression of us by the way we look at first, because they don't know anything about us. They don't know if we're gorgeous, if we're giving, if we're generous, if we have integrity, if we're loyal, if we're honest. Nobody knows that. All they know is that's what she's wearing. That must be the person that they are. And that's, again, the neuroscientists share with us. When we make a first impression, it's between 0 to 30 seconds, and it's based on what we're wearing. So I'm leaving all of that in your capable hands. If you're going to share your message with the world, does your message match what you're wearing? Does what you're wearing match your message? Do they work together to share your message with the world? Because the human body, it's really nice to look at. I like to look at it too. I find nothing more gorgeous and exciting than a beautiful human body. But I want to look at the human body for the right reason, not for, I'll leave that in your capable hands. Thank you for coming to Romax. My name's Rowie, and may your body be in peak physical condition and you share it with the world in a way that suits you best. Super doo doo, how are you? Is your body gorgeous, healthy, fit and strong on the inside and the outside? Woohoo!